He was born without talent, but after being adopted by the mightiest SS rank mage, his only weapon was sheer willpower. Through endless training, his hands bled, his bones ached, yet his resolve never wavered. Time moved on, and the child who once couldn't produce a single spell became someone others feared. But there was a secret, one even his master didn't know. Buried within him was a dark magic, strong enough to shift the world's balance. It all begins in a shattered city, where a woman discovers a boy named Lloyd, silently staring into the distance. What he sees isn't revealed yet, but the woman feels confident this boy might be the key to defeating the Demon King. She drops her guard and hugs Lloyd, who remains motionless. Soon after, she takes him to her home and shows off a spell that creates fire in her hand. It's Lloyd's first time seeing something so fantastical, but the woman commands him to copy it if he wants to eat dinner. With zero training or explanation, Lloyd attempts the spell. By day's end, he manages to produce a flicker of flame. She's mildly impressed, but not enough. She scorches him with fire, saying he still has a long path to walk. The next day, she teaches him a water spell by stomping on the ground. Lloyd replicates it on the first try, though it only makes the ground moist. The woman, unimpressed, punishes him by soaking him completely. She later teaches him wind spells, and as time passes, Lloyd also learns to control ice. In a few months, he crafts an ice statue in her image. Lloyd, now calling her his master, believes he's finally earned her approval. But she isn't satisfied, she thinks he still lacks real power. To show the gap between them, she animates the statue to grab Lloyd, enlarges it, and smashes it apart. Seeing the massive difference, Lloyd becomes more determined and trains harder than ever. One evening, his master falls ill after drinking too much. Surprisingly, Lloyd heals her instantly, revealing she had also taught him healing spells. She gives him a hug for the quick recovery, but claims it still doesn't earn her praise, and tells him to get back to training. After several more months, Lloyd's master is seen clutching a mysterious book. She looks uneasy and is startled when Lloyd walks in. The book slips from her hands, and as Lloyd picks it up, something activates, causing him to faint. His master realizes from this strange event that Lloyd might be destined to become the chosen one too. Her reaction also hints that she might share the same fate, though it's not clearly confirmed. Still, she doesn't want Lloyd to repeat the same error she once made. Fearing he may become too confident in his powers, she gently kisses his forehead as he sleeps, casting a spell that likely restrains his abilities. The next morning, she introduces Lloyd to the concept of a white mage. She explains that Lloyd is also a white mage, someone who typically uses supportive magic to help others. As a practice task, she instructs him to use healing magic on an apple tree to enlarge a single fruit. Lloyd succeeds, but his master shows how she can instantly cause the whole tree to bloom with apples. That night, during another magic session, Lloyd becomes curious about something called ancient magic. However, his master quickly dismisses it, telling him it's a lost art from long ago and irrelevant to his current training. Instead, she begins teaching him more advanced skills like space magic, which lets users summon or store objects at will. His lessons intensify, and eventually, his master decides to push him further by blindfolding him and dropping him in an unfamiliar forest filled with monsters. Giving him nothing more than a kitchen knife, she instructs him to survive and return home within 7 days. She vanishes instantly, leaving Lloyd shaken. Moments later, a wild wolf appears and chases him through the woods. Lloyd narrowly escapes by climbing a tall tree. From there, he uses space detection to find his master's home far to the north. Determined, he begins walking. That night, he uses his healing spells to ripen nearby fruits and eats them for sustenance. He shelters in a small cave and begins constructing a magic circle to increase his physical strength. By tweaking his spells creatively, he makes them enhance his core attributes whenever activated. The next morning, while traveling, he stumbles into the territory of a massive queen spider. As the spider lunges, Lloyd sprints away and activates one of his newly adjusted spells, boosting his speed dramatically. The burst carries him all the way to his master's doorstep, where he collapses from exhaustion. She opens the door, smiles, and welcomes him home. Time moves on, and Lloyd matures. As he gets taller, he's allowed more freedom around the house. One day, while tidying his master's study, he finds a book about urban life and becomes intrigued by the idea of living among crowds, something he's never known. Meanwhile, his master continues her odd experiments, turning him into her full-time assistant. This leads to many sleepless nights. One morning, she heads to the rooftop to meet Lloyd, as she always does, still driven by the same purpose. She intended to punish him so harshly that he wouldn't even be able to stand. But once she reached the room, she found it empty. All she noticed was an open book, which seemed to be the last thing he had been looking at. Meanwhile, Lloyd wandered into the city for the first time. As he entered the marketplace, he was overwhelmed by the bustling crowd. The sheer number of people surprised him. It was almost overwhelming. He hadn't realized that so many people lived here. It was entertaining in a way. With no set objective, he simply explored and observed his surroundings. As he stood around, a flyer suddenly stuck to his face. At first, he assumed it was the wind, but in truth, someone had deliberately tossed it at him. Lloyd peeled it off and read that a group was searching for an adventurer to join them. With nothing better to do, he decided to check it out. Upon arriving, he witnessed an adventuring party locked in combat with a beast. The team was in rough shape, and their leader, Alan, ordered the mage to use healing magic. She obeyed immediately, and the fight resumed. She also bound the creature with her spells to give Alan an opening. With that, Alan finished off the monster. The rest of the group surrounded him, praising his victory. Lloyd, unimpressed, turned and quietly walked off. Outside, people in the village were buzzing about Alan's greatness, praising his recent conquest of the Cyclops from Abertuff Castle with his squad. Back at their lodging, Alan distributed their earnings. Surprisingly, he handed a portion to Lloyd. Alan explained that it was Lloyd's share, even though he was considered a deranked adventurer. Lloyd accepted it silently and left without saying anything. His quiet attitude confused the others. Alan brushed it off arrogantly, claiming that white mags didn't matter much in real adventures and were mainly there for show. Lloyd overheard this but showed no reaction. He calmly shut the door behind him and departed. Elsewhere, his mentor was visited at home. It was the same person who had thrown the flyer at Lloyd earlier. The man informed her that Lloyd had joined Alan's group. She reacted calmly, stating that she didn't care what path Lloyd took, as long as he stayed humble. The man asked if she still held regrets from the past. She simply said she didn't want history to repeat. They recalled the battle with the demon lord. Back then, everyone had perished, until Sybil stepped forward. Using forbidden ancient magic, he brought back everyone at the cost of his own life. Right now, the hero party is gearing up for another battle. Even before it begins, people are already cheering for them, confident they'll come out victorious like always. The moment the fight starts, Alan quickly wraps it up and heads back with the team chanting his name in celebration. Back at home, Sheena, the mage of the group, decides to dive into her books again. She believes there's always room to improve, especially defensively. Alan approaches her, curious why she's studying so intensely. She explains her concern about their defenses weakening lately. Alan disagrees, insisting he's only getting stronger. She points out he hasn't trained in a while, but he confidently replies that he doesn't need to, he's unbeatable now. Sheena doesn't argue, just watches him silently. That evening, a golem attacks soldiers near the riverbank, leaving no survivors. The kingdom acts quickly and sends word to Alan, asking him to take care of the threat. He accepts the mission right away. Alan heads out with his team. Lloyd uses his abilities to pinpoint the golem's location. As they arrive, they find a mysterious figure beside the golem, a creature with a staff. Lloyd warns the team that this is no ordinary enemy, it's from the demon race, and it's controlling the golem through the staff. Alan tells Lulu to fire an arrow at the demon, and she does. He also instructs MIA to prepare for combat. Alan plans to charge straight at the golem, but Lloyd tries to stop him, saying it's reckless. He insists he understands the golem's power and weaknesses better and urges Alan to hold back. Alan snaps, reminding Lloyd who leads the team. Ignoring him, Alan dashes forward. But Lloyd, still worried, moves ahead to shield Alan and ends up pushing him away. Alan shoves Lloyd aside in return and strikes the golem, defeating it instantly. The moment proves Lloyd's warning was off the mark. Back home, Alan accuses Lloyd of being useless, saying he's contributed nothing since joining and left all the healing work to Sheena. Alan demands he leave the party. Lloyd doesn't argue, he agrees, calling himself weak, and walks away. The others celebrate his departure as a relief. For the next 3 days, Lloyd tries to join other parties but keeps getting turned down. Just when things seem hopeless, he overhears a woman urgently asking for an unaffiliated white mage. A guild staff member asks if she's talking about Lloyd. She turns to him, confirms he's not part of any party, and before he can say more, she grabs him and runs off with him. Lloyd walks aimlessly through the city, still disheartened by being kicked out of his party by Alan. The harsh words echo in his mind. Alan had claimed Lloyd brought nothing to the group, calling him a worthless white mage who merely hid behind others. According to him, Lloyd's only role was healing, and even Sheena could handle that better. Trying to understand why he was seen that way, Lloyd asked Alan if he genuinely believed he had no talent. But Alan brushed him off coldly, telling Lloyd to interpret it however he wanted and just go. As Alan left, the other girls, except Sheena, didn't hold back, openly celebrating Lloyd's departure, glad the dead weight was finally gone. Eventually, Lloyd wanders into the heart of the city and spots a fountain topped with a familiar statue. It looks just like his master, triggering a deep wave of nostalgia and loneliness within him. Meanwhile, a group of adventurers are preparing to storm a bandit hideout. The mission is ranked A, so they're on high alert. Crumb, the redhead of the group, seems emotionally checked out, lacking her usual drive. Despite this, the raid begins swiftly, giving the bandits little chance to react. Sylvia, the team's mage, begins casting her spell aloud. Spotting her vulnerability, one of the bandits yells to wait until she finishes before countering. As her chant nears its end and her energy drains, the enemies advance. However, Cross, the team's archer, has her covered. From a distance, he releases a perfectly aimed arrow that cuts down several bandits in one blow. Their teamwork shines through. Yui, the swordswoman and team leader, stays calm in the heat of battle, fending off foes with skill. Even when she slips, Daggers, their shield bearer, rushes in to defend her without hesitation. Crumb finally joins the fray, empowering Daggers with her magic to increase his physical strength. Supercharged, he breaks through the enemy lines, helping to secure their victory. The bandit leader, realizing the situation is hopeless, tries to make a run for it. But Yui intercepts him, warning him not to resist and to surrender immediately. The leader is confused. He demands to know who Yui really is and why they were attacked. That's when he notices the golden pendant around her neck. It marks her as an S-rank adventurer. Shockingly, all of her teammates carry the same badge. They're an elite team. In desperation, the bandit leader activates a hidden spell using his staff. A massive golem erupts from the earth. He smirks, confident that the golem's resistance to magic will neutralize their strength. That removes two team members, Crumb and Sylvia, from the fight. Cross also admits his arrows won't do much here, leaving Yui and Daggers as the main combatants. Yui takes the initiative and strikes with full force, but the golem shrugs it off like nothing. Crumb, still mentally checked out, fails to react when Yui calls for her magic support again. Yui has to practically shout just to snap Crumb out of her trance. Once she regains focus, Crumb finally activates the physical boost spell. The enhancement surges through Yui, amplifying her strength by at least 5 times. In a single, clean motion, she slices the golem in half. With the objective completed, the party secures all the bandits, including their leader. Afterwards, Yui approaches Crumb to discuss what happened during the fight. Crumb admits her mistake, apologizing for losing focus and saying she no longer feels worthy of being called an adventurer. Yui sympathizes with her, knowing Crumb's troubles stem from her sister, Sylvia. She gently asks how Sylvia is holding up these days. Before Crumb can respond, the scene transitions to Lloyd, who's now faced with 3 straight days of rejection from every team he's approached. Then he hears a voice at the guild counter, someone urgently calling for a white mage. It turns out to be Yui, and apparently, she's already dismissed Crumb from the group. Sensing a rare opportunity, Lloyd steps up and claims to be a white mage. Without asking for his credentials, Yui grabs him and drags him to their party base. She introduces Lloyd to the others and welcomes him as if he's already agreed to join. Her teammates immediately realize Yui brought someone new without explaining a thing, something she's known to do. Cross breaks down the situation. They're pressed for time because of an urgent mission, and Crumb's absence left a gap they need to fill fast. Still, none of them are convinced Lloyd is qualified, and even he doubts himself, especially after discovering they're part of an elite S-rank team. Though Lloyd has pretty much given up on his own abilities, Yui hasn't given up on him. She urges him to demonstrate his magic. With little confidence, Lloyd tries anyway, summoning a staff from storage magic. That alone gets their attention. Then, without reciting any incantation, he casts physical enhancement on the entire team. At first, no one notices the effect, but Yui decides to test it. With a mere flick of her blade, she effortlessly cleaves through a massive tree, leaving everyone speechless. Lloyd reveals he didn't just use a basic enhancement, he layered several strengthening spells together, dramatically raising Yui's capabilities. The party is in disbelief. Compared to Lloyd, Crumb was nowhere near that level, though Lloyd himself still doesn't seem to grasp just how powerful he really is. He explains he used 5 different spells because he assumed that a single enhancement wouldn't be good enough for high-level adventurers like them. He knows the team is top tier and just wanted to impress them. But judging from their stunned silence, he assumes they're disappointed, and what he did wasn't enough. For someone like Lloyd, being constantly looked down on has shattered his confidence. Thinking he's let them down, Lloyd quietly says he doesn't want to drag the team down and starts to leave. At first, no one says anything, they're too shocked to respond. Yui quickly regains her composure and shouts with everything she's got, begging him to return. He eventually turns back, willing to at least hear them out. He opens up about his past, explaining how the heroes team cast him aside for being seen as a burden. Yui is stunned to learn he was even part of the heroes team. But he quickly tells them not to make a big deal out of it, he doesn't think he's anything special. It's clear his confidence has hit rock bottom. He advises them to go back to their previous white mage, saying it's likely a smarter move for the team. They start talking about Crumb. She's talented and had been with them for a while. But Crumb has a sister named Sylvia who has been ill. Before this, Crumb juggled being an adventurer and caring for her sister. Lately, though, she's been completely drained, and it started affecting her ability to fight. During their last mission, she lost focus and nearly got the entire team into serious trouble. Even though none of them blamed her or asked her to leave, Crumb felt guilty and stepped down on her own. Normally, they could handle quests without a white mage. But for high-stakes A-rank missions, they absolutely need one, or they wouldn't make it back alive. Besides being a strong support, Crumb had become a close friend. Yui expresses her concern, and the others echo the same. Lloyd notices how deeply they care and realizes they see Crumb more as a friend than just a fellow adventurer. When they confirm that, Lloyd quietly reflects on how fortunate Crumb is to have teammates who genuinely care, unlike those from his past. He asks what kind of illness Sylvia is dealing with, and is told she's slowly turning into a magic stone. It sparks a memory. He once read about that rare condition with his mentor and learned it could be reversed. Realizing he might be able to help, he asks Yui to bring him to Crumb's home. Once there, Crumb answers the door, and they sit down to talk. Lloyd brings up Sylvia's condition. Crumb explains that she and Sylvia were both adventurers. During one mission, Sylvia got hurt, but Crumb wasn't present at the moment it happened. She only found Sylvia after the injury had already occurred. Lloyd presses for more details, and Crumb leads them to Sylvia's room. When she opens the door, a heavy surge of magic fills the air. Crumb gently pulls back the covers, revealing that Sylvia's arms and legs have already turned to stone. She tells them that the stone will eventually cover her entire body. Lloyd says he might be able to heal her, but Crumb doesn't believe it. She's already asked multiple skilled magic users for help, and none had a solution. She doubts an ordinary white mage could do what the experts couldn't. Lloyd cautiously asks Crumb if Sylvia's injury occurred inside a cave, and to his surprise, Crumb confirms it. After examining the wound, he determines that the invading magical energy is causing symptoms similar to a magic stone infection. Although Crumb still isn't entirely convinced about Lloyd's skills, he explains that his mentor once mentioned this could be a possible solution. Yui encourages Crumb to trust Lloyd's abilities, and with some hesitation, she agrees to let him try. Lloyd pulls out his staff and begins casting a powerful spell that drains a good amount of his energy. He informs them that he's using a spell designed to suppress the magic overflow running wild inside Sylvia's body. According to him, the excessive magical energy is the real problem, and by lowering it, he might be able to heal her. Without wasting time, he follows up with a restoration spell. Crumb watches in disbelief and remarks that the spell he's using doesn't resemble a standard healing technique. Lloyd acknowledges that it's a more advanced version, one that consumes much more mana than usual. Still, he insists that it's just a normal healing spell and carries on. Yui turns to Crumb and asks what she thinks about Lloyd's magic. Crumb admits it's clearly not ordinary. What amazes her even more is that Lloyd is managing 2 separate spells at once, something that requires immense strength and mental focus. Yui then points out that Sylvia's condition is visibly improving. She gently takes her sister's hand as Sylvia begins to recover and slowly returns to her normal state. Everyone is overwhelmed with joy and relief. Crumb expresses deep gratitude but explains that she won't be rejoining the party. Now that Sylvie is better, they plan to begin traveling together as adventurers. Before leaving, Crumb offers to take everyone out as a gesture of thanks. She tells Lloyd she trusts him to keep the group safe, but he humbly replies that he's not officially part of the team yet. Crumb is visibly surprised that he still doubts himself. Later, the group gathers for a celebratory dinner, and Yui shares the incredible story of what Lloyd did to heal Sylvie. Even with everyone praising him, Lloyd continues to downplay his actions. Yui gently scolds him for being too humble, insisting he's done more than enough. Still, he apologizes for not convincing Crumb to stay, though the team isn't worried about that right now. Instead, they focus on celebrating and looking ahead to the future. As they discuss what lies ahead, Lloyd reflects on how different this group feels compared to the hero team he once knew. He finally asks if he can officially join them, an unexpected turn, considering he had previously declined. To his relief, they reveal they had always hoped to work with him, and he's welcomed into the team at last. Thanks for watching. If you like this anime recap, then please like, share, and subscribe for the next part. Following that, they hold a welcome feast in Lloyd's honor, encouraging him to eat freely since they will cover all expenses for the night. Lloyd begins to eat enthusiastically, as if tasting food for the first time, which amuses his new companions. They ask if he was truly that hungry, and Lloyd replies that the cuisine in this town is simply incredible. This surprises everyone because the local food is generally considered ordinary, but Lloyd explains that compared to what he grew up eating, the flavors here are exceptional. Yui becomes intrigued about his upbringing, and Lloyd shares that he was raised by his teacher, who cooked whatever her garden provided. Sometimes she foraged wild mushrooms, and other times she roasted meat from wild animals without adding any seasoning. Lloyd mentions that this experience taught him how to cook, but even so, he admits he could never prepare meals as delicious as these. Yui's interest shifts from the food to the person who taught Lloyd magic. She asks him to share more about his teacher, and the rest of the party quickly joins in the curiosity. Silica wonders if Lloyd's teacher was also a white mage, to which Lloyd responds that she was more of a battle mage because he often witnessed explosions when she trained alone. Silica is impressed that someone who isn't a white mage trained Lloyd so effectively, and Lloyd agrees that Merlin is truly extraordinary. Silica says she would love to learn from Merlin herself, but Lloyd quickly warns her that discovering the truth would make her regret that desire forever. After chatting more about Merlin, the party decides to hold a strategy session for their upcoming mission. Yui asks Doggers to explain the mission to Lloyd since she's not good at presenting. Doggers tells Lloyd that their goal is to defeat monsters that have been ravaging local farms, and Silica adds that various monster species have united to form a pack. This is new information for Lloyd, and Doggers admits it's news to them as well, but stresses the need to take it seriously. Suddenly, Cross points out that since they face a large number of enemies, both he and Yui might struggle because melee attackers aren't effective against crowds. Yui agrees, saying Silica will have to carry the team this time due to her ability to cast wide area spells. However, Silica admits she's nervous because using those spells drains a significant amount of mana. Yui then asks Lloyd if he can use offensive magic, and he replies that he knows only basic spells but the effects aren't very powerful. Doggers then moves to planning the strategy, explaining that he and Yui will gather all the monsters into a single spot so Silica can strike them all at once. Cross will stand guard over Silica, while Lloyd will concentrate on healing and support duties. Once the plan is set, the group heads to the inn for some rest, but Lloyd suddenly veers off in a different direction. Doggers calls out to him, asking where he's headed. Lloyd awkwardly admits that he's too broke to pay for a room at the inn. Without hesitation, Doggers hands him a pouch filled with more money than Lloyd has ever seen in his entire life. Flustered, Lloyd insists he can't accept it, but Doggers assures him it's not charity since the amount will be deducted from his salary. Unable to refuse, Lloyd gratefully accepts and vows to repay the amount with hard work. The next morning, the group assembles in front of the inn, and Yui arrives last. She asks where everyone's bags are, and they excitedly reveal that Lloyd stored them all in his magic storage, so they don't have to carry any of their belongings. Yui eagerly accepts the offer, and Lloyd quickly transfers her things into the magical storage as well. Yui and Silica admire Lloyd's remarkable skill, but he offers to teach them how to use it. Everyone is surprised, as no one besides Lloyd has demonstrated this magic before, but he reassures them it's fairly simple to learn. Though expanding storage capacity takes some practice. With that, they set out on their mission. Along the way, Lloyd realizes the value of having fun on long journeys. They reach their first campsite much earlier than expected, thanks to not lugging around heavy bags. There, Lloyd retrieves their gear from magic storage so they can pitch their tents. Yui decides to splash in the nearby river now that camp is set, but Doggers quickly reminds her they still need to gather firewood and food. Lloyd volunteers to gather firewood, and Yui thanks him for easing the workload. She then pulls Silica along to bathe while Lloyd heads into the forest to collect dry sticks. While wandering, Lloyd spots a familiar fruit from his childhood and picks some to share with the group. Suddenly, he hears Yui scream. Rushing towards the noise, Lloyd finds a massive serpent monster attacking Yui and Silica, who are defenseless. He quickly intervenes, drawing the monster's attention by attacking it. Taking advantage of the distraction, Yui and Silica make it to the shore, covering themselves with towels as Lloyd tosses their weapons to them. Lloyd swiftly casts 2 enchantments on their weapons. Yui immediately charges the monster and cleaves it in 2 with a single strike. However, even the severed head continues to thrash wildly. Silica warns them to take cover and then hurls a fireball, which destroys the head instantly. She's surprised by the powerful attack, not realizing Lloyd had enhanced her magic. At the same time, Yui expresses her gratitude to Lloyd for rescuing them and asks him to return her sword to the storage space. Just then, her towel slips off, revealing more than she intended, and Lloyd accidentally sees it. Both are startled, and despite it not being his fault, Lloyd ends up getting a slap. Once back at their campsite, Lloyd decides to show everyone how to perform storage magic. He instructs them to create a space using their palms as a starting point, but they struggle to grasp the concept. Following Silica's suggestion, they attempt it, though it only looks like they're awkwardly pressing an invisible balloon. Lloyd begins to doubt his teaching skills since they aren't catching on, but then Silica quietly recites the storage chant and successfully opens a magical pocket. Everyone realizes they can't perform such magic silently like Lloyd, they need to say the incantations. With practice, Silica manages to put her staff into the magic space, but the others find it difficult. Later that night, while the group sleeps, Lloyd and Yui take turns keeping watch. Suddenly, Yui sits beside him, thanking him for joining their team. Lloyd replies that since he was also unemployed, he should be the one thanking her. He recalls how determined she was to complete the quest because their clients needed help, so he asks if there's a particular reason she's so committed. Yui reveals that as a child, her village was destroyed by monsters, and she was the only one to survive. Hearing about the quest, she felt compelled to accept it to prevent others from suffering the same fate. Suddenly, Lloyd interrupts her, warning about nearby monsters. Alerted, Yui draws her sword, and Lloyd instructs her to wake everyone. The party soon prepares to confront the spider creatures but notices they are vastly outnumbered and decide to retreat slowly. Unfortunately, Yui steps on a twig, the noise alerting the monsters. The group dashes away, but the spiders catch up and encircle them. They shoot webs from their rears, and the adventurers manage to block the initial attack. However, one spider ensnares Silica's staff and drags it away. The spiders then imprison the group in a silk cage, causing panic. Lloyd urges them to stop the spiders immediately before focusing on defeating them. He quickly casts enchantments on his teammates and signals Yui to strike first. She leaps up, slicing through the webbing, and cross-returns Silica's staff to her. Yui charges at a spider, blocking its sticky spray, then swiftly severs its legs. Using the spider's silk stream to glide, she moves toward another, cutting off its legs too. Lloyd then orders Silica and Cross to join forces. Silica conjures fireballs while Cross fires flaming arrows through them, setting the spiders ablaze. The battle concludes there, and Lloyd realizes he had been issuing commands despite being the newest member. He apologizes for overstepping, but Dagas praises him, saying his leadership instincts are natural. The others agree, encouraging Lloyd to take an active leadership role during fights. By morning, everyone has mastered the storage spell enough to carry their belongings, and as they continue their journey, Lloyd keeps pondering why the spider monsters appeared in that area. A few days later, Lloyd finds himself alone on night watch again. His thoughts drift back to those spider creatures they had encountered earlier, and he feels they should have investigated them more thoroughly. Suddenly, Yui and Silica call out his name from nearby, asking if he intends to stand guard solo once more tonight. Lloyd confirms he will, which only heightens their concern. He's been pulling these sleepless shifts for quite a while now. Both girls suggest that he should share the night duty with others to avoid exhaustion, but Lloyd insists he's fine and that the rest of the group should save their energy in case a battle breaks out. Yui starts to protest, but Silica gently stops her, asking her to respect Lloyd's choice while also requesting that he let them know if the burden becomes too much. Meanwhile, from their tent, Cross and Doggers observe the exchange with worried expressions, uneasy about Lloyd's stubbornness. The next morning, the party resumes their journey. During a break, Lloyd uses his detection magic to scan the area for any lurking threats. He breathes a sigh of relief when nothing shows up nearby. Just then, Yui runs up to him, curious about what he's doing. Lloyd explains that his magic lets him sense monsters or dangers in the vicinity, which surprises Yui since it's the first time she's heard about such a spell. He admits that the spell's range is limited but still useful. Concerned, Yui worries that Lloyd is taking too much responsibility for their safety alone. He reassures her that he doesn't need assistance and is handling it well. That night, as Lloyd keeps vigil alone yet again, Yui remarks that it feels like he doesn't trust them at all, even though they are supposed to be friends now. Silica responds thoughtfully, saying everyone warms up at their own pace and suspects Lloyd's reluctance stems from some past trauma. She also believes there's a reason Lloyd can't recognize his own worth, which leads him to overcompensate by pushing himself too hard. Yui grows curious about Lloyd's history, but Silica gently tells her he'll share more once he feels comfortable with the group. Later, Doggers approaches Lloyd, asking for his help with something. Cross volunteers to take over the watch temporarily so Lloyd can accompany Doggers. At the camp, Doggers sets up a complex tripwire alarm designed to alert them if monsters come near. Lloyd admires the device, but when Doggers tells him he should get some rest now, Lloyd insists there's no need, he can do a better job on guard duty than any alarm. Doggers confronts him directly, questioning if Lloyd really trusts their party. Lloyd replies that he does, but Doggers points out that Lloyd's actions suggest otherwise. Lloyd recalls harsh words from Merlin and his previous mentor, both of whom had labeled him inexperienced and useless. He admits that if he doesn't work hard, he might end up causing trouble for the group. Doggers, however, confidently challenges him to cause problems for them then. Lloyd is confused until Doggers explains that their party was formed precisely to tackle challenges they couldn't handle alone, and everyone inevitably causes some issues sometimes. He encourages Lloyd to put his faith in the team. It's a new concept for Lloyd, and it strikes a chord. Convinced, Lloyd finally agrees to rest. Inside the tent, a small smile appears on his face as he reflects on having people he can depend on. The next morning, Lloyd awkwardly asks Yui if she could help him fetch some water. She happily agrees. Meanwhile, far away, a noble named Michelle receives word from a mysterious black mage who confirms that magical stones have been planted at all specified locations. Michelle is pleased, confident that their plan will proceed smoothly. The mage adds that their previous maneuvers have scattered powerful adventurer parties across the land, making interference unlikely. Michelle acknowledges the presence of the hero's party but dismisses their threat, as they only act on direct orders from the king. He believes the hero alone cannot stop what is about to unfold. Back in the forest, Lloyd and his party notice an unusual absence of monsters around them. Curious, Lloyd extends the radius of his detection spell and discovers a large cluster of monsters about 10 kilometers ahead. Cross notes that this is very close to the farms they are tasked with protecting, but before Lloyd can elaborate, Yui interrupts, incredulous that his detection range is that wide. Lloyd confirms it, provoking Yui to exclaim in disbelief since just a few days ago, he had said the spell's range was much smaller. Before the argument escalates, other party members urge Yui to focus on the more pressing matter. They hurry toward the monster group, only to find that the creatures have already invaded the farmland. Shocked at the sheer number of wolf-like monsters, Lloyd is more concerned about the absence of monsters elsewhere. Normally, creatures don't abandon their territories, which puzzles the group. As they debate the mystery, Cross notices something unusual in the middle of the wolf pack. The others can't see it clearly since their eyesight isn't as sharp, so Lloyd casts a spell that grants himself telescopic vision. This allows him to make out a strange black stone embedded among the wolves. He shares the spell with the rest of the party, enabling them to see the dark rock as well. Doggers identifies it as a magistone, and Silica points out the ominous black aura surrounding it. Lloyd explains that the mana seeping from the stone feels eerily familiar, like the mana he sensed from beast folk. He recalls Merlin's words about a unique beast folk spell used to control monsters, and now he realizes this magistone is functioning the same way. Quickly, he casts his detection spell again and spots another massive group of monsters approaching. Lloyd understands that the magistone is behind their troubles but is still unsure of their ultimate motive. While some suggest retreating, Yui insists they cannot abandon the farmlands to destruction. Doggers agrees that escape won't be easy in this situation, but Sylvia doubts their chances of winning a fight. Suddenly, Lloyd steps forward with determination, confident they can emerge victorious if they stick to his plan. He instructs Cross to try shooting the Magistone. Cross doubts he can break it from so far away, but Lloyd reassures him that hitting it will suffice. Taking careful aim, Cross releases an arrow empowered by 3 enchantment spells Lloyd places on him. The arrow shatters the Magistone instantly. Cross asks how Lloyd managed this, and Lloyd explains he enchanted Cross, his bow, and his arrows, a skill considered routine for someone like him. The others are amazed since normal white mags aren't capable of enchanting both weapons and people simultaneously. As the Magistone breaks, the wolves begin attacking each other, their natural aggression returning. Lloyd had planned for this, declaring the first phase a success. But more monsters are still advancing. Suddenly, a wave of monsters emerges from the forest, and Sylvia bravely steps forward alone to confront them. As the horde closes in, Lloyd waits for the perfect moment before commanding her to unleash an attack. Sylvia summons a swirling fire tornado that annihilates the monsters charging at her, stunning everyone with its raw power. Lloyd instructs Sylvia to continue blasting enemies with her wind and fire magic while he moves over to assist Cross. Because the smoke from Sylvia's attack blinds the flying monsters, they are hidden from sight as well. Lloyd links his senses with Cross telepathically and guides him to the hidden flying enemies using his detection spell. Cross methodically shoots them down, missing none. Returning to Sylvia for the final part of the plan, Lloyd finds she is depleted of mana. No problem for him, he transfers some of his own magical energy to her, though the sudden surge causes Lloyd to collapse from exhaustion. He tells her not to worry and commands her to cast a rain spell. Sylvia obeys, and the downpour quickly extinguishes the raging forest fire, preventing further damage. However, the rain spell drains her mana entirely, and she falls unconscious into Doggers' arms. Yui praises her courage, and she and Doggers rush forward to mop up the remaining monsters. While they press forward, Sylvia and Lloyd take a moment to recover. Lloyd collapses again, muttering that he needs to train harder since he shouldn't feel tired from such a small effort. Soon, Yui and the others defeat the last monsters and return to Lloyd. He tells them they must head to the nearby city immediately, driven by a strong instinct that the battlefield was just a distraction and the real target is Ishtar. Everyone is confused until Lloyd pulls out a crate filled with mana potions from his storage dimension. Drinking one, he explains that the mission was a trap designed to lure elite adventurers away from Ishtar and weaken its defenses. Cross points out that Ishtar boasts both the Heroes Party and the Night Order, making it a tough fortress to breach. But Doggers agrees with Lloyd's theory. Yui decides they should return to Ishtar right away. Lloyd buffs the entire party after finishing his potion and urges Yui to start moving. He sprints ahead with incredible speed, astonishing everyone. As Yui tries to keep up, she realizes she can now move faster too, thanks to Lloyd's speed enhancement. The rest of the group follows close behind, focused on reaching the city as quickly as possible. At the same time, Michelle is busy sorting through documents when an unexpected figure materializes before him, the demon general, Grist. Without wasting time, Grist announces that his forces are fully prepared to move out. Michelle's expression brightens at the news, and the two begin discussing how effortlessly they managed to deploy an army toward the city of Ishtar without drawing any unwanted attention. This, they acknowledge, was only possible because of the unique abilities of a beast folk girl they had abducted. Michelle remarks that her powers will continue to be an asset for their plans in the future, and Grist leaves that responsibility entirely in his hands. Meanwhile, Lloyd and his companions are making their way toward Ishtar at full speed. They eventually pause for a short break to recover their stamina. The group feels confident that, at their current pace, they will arrive quickly. Still, Sylvia voices her concern that maintaining enchantment magic for extended periods must be exhausting for Lloyd. He answers that it can indeed be tiring for those without much practice, but in his case, his master had relentlessly pushed him to use it repeatedly, so he became accustomed to sustaining such spells over long durations. Lloyd then recalls an old training ordeal. Merlin had thrown him into a forest swarming with dangerous creatures. Lacking the strength to defeat them, he resorted to fleeing, which in turn forced him to devise faster and more efficient spells to survive. Though the experience was grueling, he remembers being scolded constantly by Merlin for struggling with it, making him assume he was simply bad at it. Believing this sort of harsh training to be standard, Lloyd is surprised when Sylvia and Yui tell him it is anything but normal. Misunderstanding completely, he assumes his own training was lighter than average and resolves to push himself harder. The two girls are left speechless at his naivety. Soon after, Doggers and the rest of the group finish resting, ready to continue. Lloyd applies a speed-enhancing enchantment to the party and activates his detection magic to ensure no threats are nearby. They press on, but Lloyd abruptly halts mid-step, causing the others to bump into him. When questioned, he explains that his search magic has picked up something unusual, not human, not a monster. Uneasy, Lloyd suggests that the others proceed ahead while he investigates, but Yui insists that if it turns out to be dangerous, he shouldn't face it alone. Agreeing, Lloyd leads them toward the disturbance. Before long, they come upon a small hut, and Lloyd becomes certain he can sense the presence of demons inside. The revelation shocks the group. The demons are supposed to be confined to the far side of the mountains, far from human lands. Lloyd points out that demon entry into human territory is strictly forbidden, but the others remind him that the creatures have been openly violating this ban and attacking humans for years now. When they press him on why he seems unaware of such a fact, Lloyd explains that he has no recollection of his early life, having been adopted right after the war's conclusion. The group momentarily fears that they might have stirred up painful memories for Lloyd, but he quickly reassures them that he's fine. Cross then insists that they should immediately head back to the city and inform the knights about the situation. Lloyd, however, suggests delaying their return, reasoning that they should collect more evidence first. He explains that the aura radiating from the demons feels identical to the energy they had sensed from the Black Magistone earlier, making everyone tense upon hearing his observation. Lloyd warns that if these demons truly intend to launch an assault on Ishtar, their investigation becomes crucial. Yui supports his point, adding that without taking action, Ishtar could be in grave danger. The rest of the group agrees. As they approach a nearby house, they discover it is empty. Using his detection abilities once more, Lloyd locates the demons, not inside the house, but hidden underground. Dager suggests they search for a proper entrance, but Lloyd chooses to skip that step entirely. He orders Silica to prepare earth magic and, before she acts, casts enhancement spells on the entire party. Silica then manipulates the earth, forming a pit that causes the ceiling of the subterranean passage to collapse onto the demons below, who were in the midst of performing a ritual. The demons scatter to avoid the falling rubble, but Yui leaps down without hesitation, grabbing one by the throat. She demands to know why demons have crossed into this side of the continent, when suddenly another demon uses magic to hurl debris at her. Yui deflects the attack with ease before firing a cross-shot that strikes one demon while another slips away. The remaining demons retreat behind the rubble, but Silica once again uses her abilities to transform the stones into sand, forcing them into the open. They attempt to strike her, but Dagus intercepts their attack, pushing them into retreat. One demon flees the chamber, and when Yui attempts to follow, she finds the door sealed shut. Two other demons try to catch her off guard, but cross-pins their garments to the ground, allowing Yui to swiftly finish them off. With three demons defeated, they immediately move to intercept the final one, who captures the beast girl inside a magical cocoon before fleeing. Lloyd and the others arrive at that moment and quickly decide to pursue. Yui and Cross reach the target first, coordinating to trap him from both ends while Lloyd's group climbs to the surface. Noticing an intense magical presence emanating from the cocoon, Lloyd urges them to secure it at all costs. Yui cuts off the demon's escape route, leaving him surrounded. Lloyd demands his surrender so they can question him, but the demon refuses, opting to attack instead. A glowing magic circle forms beneath him, and he launches a powerful spell. Lloyd reacts instantly, summoning protective barriers in front of his allies. The attack rebounds off the shields, striking the demon himself and ending the confrontation. With the enemy finally defeated, Lloyd wastes no time in cutting down the strange cocoon and releasing the imprisoned beast girl trapped inside. Without hesitation, he lifts her out and the group quickly makes their way back to the small cottage. Once there, Lloyd begins treating her injuries, reasoning that she is their only source of information now that all the demons have been eliminated. As his healing magic flows over her, Yui and Silica exchange surprised glances. The wounds are closing with remarkable speed. Lloyd casually explains that he made a few personal modifications to the spell. This revelation leaves both girls wide-eyed, as altering magic formulas is notoriously difficult. Lloyd simply shrugs, mentioning that his mentor constantly roped him into helping design and test new spells, so this sort of thing comes naturally to him. Naturally, the two become even more curious about this mysterious master, but Lloyd just brushes it off, describing her as nothing more than an eccentric oddball. Moments later, the beast girl stirs and opens her eyes, only for Yui to pounce on her with a barrage of rapid-fire questions. The girl stammers out that her name is Clare, though Yui mishears it entirely and decides to call her whatever she thinks she heard. When Yui demands to know why demons had captured her, Clare hesitates, prompting Lloyd to step in. He assures her that they are adventurers who saved her life and then asks whether she has the rare beast folk ability to control monsters, something he suspects might be linked to the strange events at the farms they visited earlier. Clare reluctantly admits that she does possess such magic, but insists she was forced by the demons to use it. With this confession, the pieces fall into place. The demons' plan is to drive monsters into attacking Ishtar, the strategic gateway to the entire continent. Realizing the urgency, Lloyd decides they must return at once to defend it, taking Clare along as well. During a short rest on their journey, Lloyd senses flare. An immense horde of monsters is already advancing toward the city, with an even larger force trailing behind. Knowing they cannot take on such overwhelming numbers alone, he makes a quick decision. He orders Yui and the others to hurry ahead and alert the city's knights, while he remains behind with Clare, intending to use her abilities to hold the monsters at bay. Meanwhile, elsewhere in the city, Lloyd's former party leader, Hero Alan, is dealing with a different problem. He still hasn't been able to recruit a white mage to take Lloyd's place, turning down every applicant after glancing at their resumes. The women in his team nervously point out that even the most skilled candidates they've seen can only maintain 2 enchantment spells at once, but Alan calls them all worthless idiots. The shield bearer, Rena, timidly suggests that maybe Lloyd was simply exceptional, but Alan scoffs and ridicules her for entertaining such a foolish idea. At that moment, a knight rushes in with urgent news for Alan. He reports that their forest scouts have spotted a massive force of monsters advancing toward the city, and they require the hero's assistance immediately. The party is taken aback by the report, but Alan agrees to take on the request, which greatly pleases the knight. The messenger leaves at once to deliver the good news to the others, but after he's gone, the girls hesitantly ask if they can really face such a huge army without a white mage. Alan tells them that since this is a direct request from the kingdom, they should accept. It's a good opportunity to earn favor. More importantly, he wants to prove to everyone that he's still the strongest, even without what he calls a deadweight support mage. Meanwhile, Lloyd and Clare arrive at a cliffside, where they spot another monster force, one even larger than the group heading toward Ishtar. Lloyd is alarmed, realizing that if the two forces unite, the city won't stand a chance. He tells Clare they have to stop this group here, but she asks if there's a way to do so without killing them. Lloyd is taken aback by her words, but Clare explains that these creatures are victims, innocent beings corrupted when the demon stole her power to brainwash them. Feeling partly responsible, she doesn't want them harmed. Lloyd realizes that Clare truly cares for animals, even ones others see as dangerous, and he assures her that he'll find a method to halt them with minimal injury. Clare brightens at his promise, and Lloyd asks if she can send the monsters back home using her power. She admits she's not confident she can control them all at once, so Lloyd offers to enhance her mana reserves and the efficiency of her spells. Determined, Clare steps forward to try. Lloyd prepares to boost her, but her casting fails due to interference from a dark device hidden in the forest. Back in the city, Alan arrives at the Adventurers Guild, immediately belittling the assembled adventurers, calling them unfit for the mission. This angers the crowd, and Alan's female teammates explain that all A-rank and higher parties are currently away. Alan continues to insult them, prompting one adventurer to prepare for a fight. His friend restrains him, warning that attacking a hero would be unwise. Thankfully, the guild master arrives before things escalate further. He reminds everyone that their mission is to battle monsters, not turn on one another. Alan scoffs, standing up to reveal his brilliant plan. He explains that the mags will open the fight by unleashing their strongest spells to wipe out as many monsters as possible. After that, he himself will lead the knights and melee fighters to hold off the remaining creatures while the mags recover their mana. Alan confidently insists that a few monsters are nothing against his tactics, though many of the other adventurers quietly wonder if he's lost a few brain cells along the way. Noticing the doubtful looks, Alan demands to know if anyone has something to say. A mage speaks up hesitantly, pointing out that they lack the firepower to take out a large number of monsters in one strike. Others chime in, saying that even bringing down a single one is no easy feat. Alan shouts back that such ability should be the bare minimum, but then his own team's mage admits she's not so sure she can manage it either. She explains that her spell strength has been weakening lately and she can't produce the same destructive power she once could. Alan explodes, demanding why she never told him sooner. She timidly replies that she's not the only one. Everyone in their group has noticed a drop in performance ever since Lloyd was expelled. Hearing this, Alan's anger boils over as he accuses them of betraying him by staying quiet. Rena interrupts, saying they didn't betray him, he simply failed to notice because he's grown lazy after becoming a hero. She adds that he hasn't even trained in ages, which makes it worse that he didn't realize his own strength had slipped. The crowd is stunned at this revelation. Alan lashes out, calling Rena a bitch for exposing him, and tries to punch her. She effortlessly blocks the blow, humiliating him further in front of everyone. Red-faced, Alan flees the scene, with his women trailing after him, though Rena stays behind. The other adventurers panic, realizing they can't beat the monsters with such a weak hero in charge. Rena tells them to relax, she will take command. She then declares she's leaving Alan's party, saying he's no longer worthy of the title hero, and vows to fight alongside the rest of them. Her words ease everyone's fears, and she says their best chance to survive is to locate the white mage Lloyd. Meanwhile, Lloyd and Clare discover a black magistone, the source blocking her magic. Lloyd explains that they had found a similar stone in another area and that these stones are controlling the monsters. He says they have to destroy it, but Clare points out there must be several nearby since the horde is too massive for just one stone to control. Lloyd asks if she can locate them, and she replies she can only sense them when close. That's enough for Lloyd. He activates his search magic combined with sense sharing to quickly pinpoint the positions of the other magistones. Clare was still processing the situation when Lloyd suddenly cast an invisibility spell on the two of them, allowing them to approach the magistone without attracting the monster's attention. This unexpected move made Clare begin to doubt just how much Lloyd was truly capable of, yet she followed him regardless. Once they reached the magistone, Clare used her own abilities to deactivate it. The moment she did, the creatures under its influence broke free and dispersed from the area. Meanwhile, at the city's border, both adventurers and knights stood prepared to face the incoming horde, though the knight's captain couldn't hide his unease about the plan. The guild master of the adventurers, however, chose to trust Rena's account and put his confidence in Lloyd's abilities. Rena had earlier revealed to them that Lloyd, despite being known only as a white mage, had secretly been the key figure in the heroes' party's past victories. The adventurers initially dismissed this as impossible, but the guild master accepted it as truth. Still, he reminded Rena that Lloyd was currently away on a mission outside the city and would normally take a week to return. Shocked by the news, Rena quickly deduced that Lloyd could cut his travel time short if he pushed himself. She urged everyone to stake their survival on Lloyd's return, and since they had already agreed to this, the guild master decided there was no reason to hesitate further. Soon after, the monster army appeared on the horizon, prompting Rena to order the mags and archers to unleash their attacks. The barrage weakened the enemy lines, and when the beasts charged into the trenches, powerful streams of water swept many away, buying more time for Lloyd and his companions. Not long after, the knights arrived, and Yui's group took a brief respite before setting out for Ishtar as quickly as possible to aid Lloyd. Elsewhere, Lloyd and Clare reached the final magistone and disabled it. Relieved that all the monsters were freed, they were caught off guard when the now unbound panthers and wolves began fighting each other. In the chaos, the magistone was knocked over, striking Clare and breaking her invisibility spell. The nearby monsters immediately fixed their gaze on her, and panic set in. Acting fast, Lloyd dashed to the opposite side and set off bright fireworks to divert their attention. Back at the city's defense line, Rena and the others were still battling fiercely when their right flank collapsed under a vicious assault. To make matters worse, more beasts were closing in. Just as hope began to fade, an immense fire spell obliterated the attackers. Cheers erupted when Yui and her S-rank team entered the fray, signaling that Lloyd's arrival was imminent. Meanwhile, Lloyd found himself being chased by two separate groups of monsters. He continued to dodge and evade skillfully, but a realization struck him: his energy wouldn't hold out forever. Clare observes that Lloyd is only dodging the monsters without launching any attacks, and she suspects it's because she told him not to harm them. Seeing him getting overwhelmed, she steps in to assist and begins singing a melody. Instantly, the monsters halt their aggression upon hearing her voice and quietly retreat back into the forest. Lloyd is genuinely amazed. Curious, he asks Clare how she managed to control the monsters. She explains that her ability doesn't actually control them but instead communicates her emotions to them, and in this case, she asked them to leave. Grateful, Lloyd thanks her for saving him and suggests they head back to Ishtar, where Yui's group has brought new hope to the defenders. Despite their efforts, the monsters quickly overpower the humans. Rena sustains injuries in the battle, and soon after, the monsters completely break through the defensive lines. Just as despair sets in, Clare's gentle song echoes loudly, amplified by Lloyd's supportive magic. Her magic immediately calms the monsters, prompting them to withdraw peacefully without attacking anyone else. Everyone is taken aback by this turn of events. Lloyd commends Clare, saying her incredible magic saved countless lives. Yet, the fight isn't over, as a band of massive rock golems march toward the city, and Lloyd resolves to stop them no matter what. Thanks for watching. If you like this anime recap, then please like, share and subscribe for the next part.